I feel like right now there's like a barrier between people understanding what a street artist is and a graffiti writer is.
Okay.
Right? A graffiti writer is someone that comes from anywhere of a subculture or sub-city that has devoted their time to develop letter structure. Because that's what graffiti is at the end of the day, letter structure.
Okay.
Making letters flow, hop, throw an arrow here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Color coordinating, make sure that the colors match, that it looks good, that it blends well. That's what a graffiti writer is. And a pure graffiti writer is out on the streets, you know, doing it illegally, risking their life, day after day, night after night, doing what they got to do to put their, you know, mark out there.
Yeah. Yo, welcome to another episode of In a Minute with Evan Lovett, coming to you live from the heart of Los Angeles. And this is a very interesting episode. An episode that some would say may define Los Angeles. I'm talking about graffiti and graffiti culture. Polarizing, because some say it uplifts the city and the people and the culture. Some people say it's destructive or disrespectful, but regardless, I'm here with Ronek, the man who runs the podcast, Got No Control, talking about graffiti, has all the artists on there, knows the culture. And look, I'm not going to front. I don't know a lot about it. I knew some taggers growing up, stuff like that. I know it's important. I've sat here with Two Tone, shout out to Born and Raised, but I don't really know the culture and the history, and I want some things cleared up for me and just to discuss. So Ronek, thank you for coming in. Appreciate you being here.
Always, brother. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a sad day. Looks like it wants to rain, but we're gonna make the best out of it.
Yeah, you know this. Listen, man, I've been noticing the last couple of years this weather through May has always been weird. It's either raining like crazy, too hot, or too gloomy. But before we get into that, we got a new sponsor, and I'm very proud to have Ardo Brick as the new sponsor. Based in Gardena, which by the way is close to Ronek's hometown.
Harbor area, baby. We're in the house.
There you go. Ardo Brick is run by my man Armin. This is an LA American dream story, a true family legacy. Armin is the third generation owner that came from Beirut, Lebanon via Armenia. Back in the day, immigrants started a company, but here's what they do and why they're important and why this is relevant to LA in a minute with Evan Lovett. They do rehabilitation and restoration of historic LA bricks and tiles.
Yeah.
Alvera Street, Mariachi Plaza, USC, Union Station. So I've been down to the factory in Gardena. I did an episode on the factory. It's dope because they're doing everything by hand and manufacturing everything there. And look, let's call it what it is. Manufacturing jobs in LA, it's not what it used to be. Yeah. So this company employing a lot of people and producing authentic, genuine stuff. High Valley Inn, like all the Vallarta, like they do a lot of the important by hand, not these cheap, fabricated tiles, but like handmade high quality stuff. So shout out Ardo Brick. My wife's an interior designer. When I first told them that we connected, she was like, "Oh, Ardo Brick, wow, impressive."
I gotta go check it out.
There you go. So now, all right, now let's get into it, man, because look, I've known since the days of Wild Style. My first cassette tape was Beat Street. Like breaking. It all goes together because I was a hip hop guy growing up, right? The elements of hip hop, and graffiti is one of those elements, an important element, but it's something I never partook in, right? I see it. Sometimes I'm like, oh, that shit, it's so beautiful. Like literally beautiful, interesting. My son's 11, and sometimes we'll see him and he's like, oh, because he's a little artist.
Yeah.
Right? So he's intrigued by the colors and shade, this, all that kind of stuff. So let's start here first. Tell me just about graffiti culture, what it means to you with a little bit of your background so we get that.
Graffiti has played a big part of my lifestyle as a child, right? I entered the culture at 11 years old, which is 2005. The type of town, the town that I'm from is very anti-graffiti and at the highest level.
Where are you from?
I'm from Dominguez, California.
Okay.
I'm from Dominguez, California.
Shout out to Dominguez Adobe.
Very, very iconic part of town and unincorporated area in Los Angeles County. But graffiti has definitely played a big part in my lifestyle just because it kept me rooted to who I became now, who I am, what I represent. And what can I say about graffiti? So much, but where I could start at is, a lot of people don't understand that graffiti, what we know today as hip-hop style graffiti, initially came through the wave of hip-hop, right?
Right.
So imagine being in Los Angeles and hip-hop hasn't hit yet. all you know is the funk, the oldies, right?
Right.
So, and then you hear these new cuts, and everybody's like, whoa, what is that? Clap your hands, everybody. And everybody's just like, whoa, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Then you get movies like
Watershed moment in history and LA culture history. Yeah.
Then you get movies like Beat Street, Wild Style, Breaking. And then it starts like expanding your mindset to like, what is this? Right?
Yeah.
But prior to that, there was, what can I say? There was a different style of graffiti here in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Which was placazos, also known as gang style writing.
Yeah.
Which is marking territory.
Yeah.
And it was artistic.
Is this tagging now to the lay person? Is this just some standard tagging? Is that what like
gang
I
style
would
graffiti?
perceive? Yeah.
Yeah, you could say tagging.
Okay.
But it had its own flair to it, right?
Yeah.
Like they had like big block letters top to bottom.
Oh, okay,
different type of shades. Or they'll
So that's
do
real graffiti.
they'll do like a strike up with a different cut, you know what I mean? To represent their neighborhood. And some of these taggings will let you know where you were at.
Right.
So like, hey, I'm here. And you don't want to touch this type thing. So, you know, you have those early stages of that sort of graffiti here in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But then hip hop arrived. And then it started opening up the mindset to like the New York style hip hop style writing, which was like big block letters, like flowing letters, connecting arrows, backgrounds, cartoons, bubbles, and all the extra stuff, right? And that's what
The artistic work.
And that's what started developing into what I call now, on my personal opinion, hip hop style graffiti, which it is what we see now, right? You'll go and you'll see like a big, like dope piece, right? With like all kinds of colors, a background, a cartoon.
Yes.
And you could tell that someone really devoted themselves to put that there and master their craft.
I want to say this again from an outside perspective, and I always try to be objective about everything, right? And that's part of the big city. Look, also we'll get into this too, but it comes from New York. The roots are in New York. Is that fair to say? Is that an accurate statement
for
graffiti culture? Because I know that's where hip hop came from. Right?
For hip hop style graffiti, yes. But for what we had in Los Angeles already, which is gang style graffiti, that's here from Los Angeles.
Okay. And that's, bombing the trains and all that kind of stuff, right? So is it part marking your territory? Is that fair to say? Like to say, like you said, this is our area, this is our turf, if you will?
For the gang style graffiti? Yeah.
And then that blossomed into like, wait, the world is a canvas. This is my art. This is my creative expression. And then it takes on a different meaning in that regard. Is that a fair kind of segue, kind of a transition, or how would you?
I think it's a fair transition, but I would like to make this input. Like, just imagine, right? You have these guys that are fully dedicated to the gang culture here in Los Angeles, right?
Yeah.
And you start listening to this new wave coming in, which is hip hop.
Yep.
And then you go from bumping oldies to funk to like, hold on, what are these cuts and beats over here? So you start looking into it, and then it starts expanding your mind to that, like, there's something else more than what I know. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's coming in, it's fresh. Like, for those people out there that love hip hop, imagine listening to hip hop for the very first time.
Oh, yeah.
And
I remember my very first, literally life-changing, life-defining experience, man.
And then you're telling yourself, like, whoa, what is this? Like, how are they doing that? How are they doing the cuts?
Yep.
And then you start seeing the movies, and you start getting a better understanding of what hip hop is, right? And I think with that brought the element of graffiti.
Okay.
And then you have books like Subway Art.
Martha Cooper.
Which is to some the Bible to graffiti, because being here in Los Angeles, you didn't know what was going on in New York.
Right.
Because there was no Instagram.
Pre-internet.
There was no cell phone.
Pre-social media.
There was none of that.
Yeah.
So once you get this book, guys were going to the library to get this book just to look at it, steal the page, steal the book. Just because it was so valuable to understand the styles that were being developed in New York.
And let's be clear, it's not like any forms of mainstream media at the time were shining a positive light on this art form or on this culture, right? So this book drops, Martha Cooper, and it totally just opens people's eyes to like, oh shit, like there's something out there.
Yeah.
And the way it's presented, it's like a high quality, like, high gloss, thick page book. So it's like, it presents it as an art form. And for the uninitiated, you could see, you're like, oh, wow, okay, this isn't just people defacing property or something. You know what I mean? This is something bigger than that. Something that's obviously much more important because, like you said earlier, somebody takes the time and the effort and the perfectionism involved in some of these creations where you're like, all right, that's you have to give it a respect. Again, even from the outsider, you're like, have to give it a respect just from a creation perspective where you're like, dude, somebody made that. Somebody did that by hand. Like, but go on. Sorry. So yeah.
No, and you're absolutely right. Like Martha Cooper went out of her way to go behind these guys, go to the subway train yards, you know, get into certain situations that maybe she didn't want to be in.
Right.
I've never met her. Shout out Martha Cooper.
Yeah.
If you listen to this, hey, I'm going to meet you one day. But yeah, you know, and it's art, right? She dedicated this. She got some amazing shots of people that are no longer with us, which they may rest in peace, and they're definitely missed, you know?
And, you know, I want to say something, too, that's kind of in my mind where LA has all these different cultures, these strong cultures. I don't even want to call them subcultures. They're cultures, whether it's punk rock, whether it's skating. My son just watched Dogtown and Z-Boys, right? He just got into skateboarding. So he's like, one of our producer, Eric, by the way, huge skater. And he's been like, you got to have John Ho on, all this kind of stuff. Yeah. So he's like, and it's so funny because my son is saying all these names. Jay Adams, I want to say. And again, I wasn't a skateboarder, but it's like, dude, you see how, and you see, even I see it. Val Surf, the oldest skate shop in the world, you know, is in the Valley. But it's like all these things are so important to the culture, tattoo culture, hip hop culture, you know, like Heshers when I was growing up, we used to call them, right? Like, so like there's all these cultures, but the graffiti culture again has like persisted and it is so strong through then. I mean, again, we're talking about this off air, but like Beyond the Streets, Freight Train Graffiti, like huge like art gallery kind of celebrating that right there. I want to say Melrose. I'm terrible with streets.
I know it's in Hollywood for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So, but like, it's become a thing where, again, I don't want to say mainstream, but it's fully accepted as a culture. But here's my question. What do you say to people that are like, oh man, that's ugly, that's trash, that ruins the neighborhood, things like that? Let's go that detour for a sec.
Before I answer that question, I just wanted to add, because you brought skateboarding up.
Yeah.
I just watched a really dope documentary on Hulu. You guys got to watch it. It's all about skateboarding. It's super dope.
Really?
And I also watched that.
Wait, what's it called?
I don't remember the name of it.
Okay.
Because I was just scrolling through it and I seen it and I started watching it. Super dope. And from that, it led me to discovering the whole world behind the people that designed the boards. There's a whole world behind it.
There you go.
And it's phenomenal. So if you're into skateboard, I suggest you go check that out. I also want to add that skateboard is kind of like a long lost cousin to graffiti, because think about it. When you're a skateboarder, you're doing illegal stuff by like, you got to find a spot to skate that you're not supposed to be there. You got to break in there to skateboard. Same thing with graffiti. So they come together where like, if I'm already breaking into a spot to skate, I might as well just leave my tag behind.
Damn. Okay. Dude, and that's again, and going back to hip hop, like the elements, like all these cultures or all these elements of culture combine to really kind of define a richness of, you know, that area and that era where it's like, dude, we have all these permutations on, you know, what's celebrated, but this is what's really celebrated by the people that live here and that like live this lifestyle. So that's pretty sweet. All right. Now let's get to it. I want to get to me because that's an important question where, you know, people are like, we got to take this tagging down and it costs the city so many millions of dollars in taxes, all this kind of stuff.
What I want to add to that, brother, is like in the 80s, 90s, it was a whole different era than what we know today. Lifestyle in Los Angeles was a lot more critical. It was a lot more physical than what we know it today. Just imagine those kids growing up and those environments, not having a parent, losing family members to gang violence or street violence, and having something that could bring your inner self out and express yourself to the world, to like, hey, I'm going through all of this stuff, but I'm here through my art form, right? Every time you see a letter, it talks to you if you really, really digest it. If a guy's throwing up an arrow this way, oh, this guy's funky, he's into hip hop. If you see a big block letter, this guy's trying to leave a statement. If you see a guy that's dropping a cartoon that looks super dope, it's like, this guy's artistic, he's thinking outside the box. He's trying to tell you something like, hey, look at what I could do.
Right.
So I tell people that when you see these letters, you see this art form, try to digest it a little closer before you criticize it. Yes, at the end of the day, it's illegal.
Right.
You're right. And as a business owner, I'm sure a lot of business owners wouldn't like it on their building.
Right.
But I wouldn't say it's the code, but for some, like myself, we don't go pay mom and pop shops or homes.
Right.
They go in like, I don't want to say we because I don't want to act like like I'm out there day and night.
Okay.
As a child I was, but I can't say that now.
Yeah.
But for those out there, much love and respect. Shout out to every single one of you guys. But for those out there that are doing that, it's like they're out hitting like freeways.
Yeah.
Billboards and stuff of that nature. Not that I'm saying like it's acceptable.
Yeah.
But they're not doing what people are presenting like, oh, writing homes, writing like schools or churches and stuff like that. That's not happening.
I'll tell you, like, and this is the truth. And look, I'm an old white guy. It's square. I will say this when I see it on businesses, and again, like, that's where I'm like, come on. And the ugly one, hey, no diss, not the ugly, but where it looks like some amateur scrawl where I'm just like, oh, come on. At least like give me an artistic mural looking piece that you can kind of celebrate. Because they are dope. There's other ones that I'm driving that I'll literally stop and take a picture because you're like, that is fucking dope. Like that's art right there. I want to ask you a question that I've always kind of wondered. Give me this when you were writing, okay? Yeah. What's the average night like? How do you go find a spot with your boys, maybe without your boys, take your gear? Like, what does that consist of? How do you get out there and stay safe, not get caught? And some of this stuff that's like literally the side of buildings. Like I see one off the 134, I think it is, where it's, and again, you've seen 1,000 like this probably, but it's literally the top of a building, like the top of a building. I don't even want to get in the graffiti towers. Yeah, we will. But it's like, I was like, the only way somebody could have did it if they like hung over the side and did it upside down. Yeah. So tell me about what it's like a night in the culture of, and then B, these difficult, hard to reach, hard to access freeway signs, all that kind of stuff like that. Like how? Like just logistically, how?
I just want to make a small input before I answer the question.
Of course,
going a little bit back into the statement of like, hey, I want to look at some dope stuff, and when I see some stuff that looks ugly, I'm kind of like, that's something I don't want to see. Yeah. For writers, that's something that we kind of have to respect because it's the evolution. Yeah. Right? It's the evolution of seeing somebody that's coming out and getting it, baby steps, because everybody starts as a scribble.
And that's what I always think. I'm always like, that had to be some kid. Like to me, I was like, that had to be some kid. Go on.
Yeah. So it's the process, the evolution of like, it started with a scribble. Right. Okay. It started with coming up with a name, with a tag.
Dude, like when you hear a rapper's original freestyles or something, you know what I mean? You're like, but then you're like, I guess that's because that's how you build. That's how you build. Yeah. Okay, go on.
But as far as like going about, obtaining the certain tool to do this or get in a spot, everyone is different, right? Everyone's different. I can't speak for the whole culture, but what I could say and speak on my personal experiences, coming up for a spot for us coming up was just like skateboarding around, driving your bicycle on the metro or the bus, because for some of us, bus was our main transportation as a child. So, riding the bus and you might see that wall like, hey, that looks cool. That looks cool. I'll come back and get it. Yeah. You know what I mean? But for me, I come from a time where it was kind of like pre-internet. Yeah. So we didn't have all the stuff that you have right now. Right now, you have like hundreds of nozzle caps, hundreds of aerosol cans, a bananas amount of markers that you could pick from and order and get it shipped to your house.
Back then, it was like Krylon.
Yeah, back then it was like, for me, I was going through the evolution of where Krylon changed their stem and their formula to prevent graffiti writers from using it.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, they're probably getting crazy. Yeah. All right, go on. Yeah.
And it's interesting that we talk about that because now Rust-Oleum entered the artistic space and released a cam for street art.
Dude, how the culture has changed, bro. I always say this just as a segue, where Snoop Dogg, let's say in 1992, people would fear him and they threw the stickers on the albums. And I think like the government was like, like he's an example of why like rap is bad and all this stuff, going to jail, all this kind of stuff. And now he's like the world's like favorite uncle / grandpa. And he hasn't changed. Times have changed. You know what I mean? Definitely. So same thing. So now Rust-Oleum is like, let's celebrate that as an art. Go on, continue.
But some people are taking that as like, all these years we begged you to give us a shot, and you always denied us. All of a sudden now, why? And this is coming from
why. And money. We always know why. Yeah.
And this is coming from the people in the culture, right? Yeah. Like, if you guys head over to my Instagram, I did a small review on the can, and you could see what people are saying. because I really take it in when people say something. I listen, I read, and I pay attention. And a lot of people are saying this. So times definitely have changed. So, it's interesting to just.
But give me a night of the call. So you see that wall. You're on the bus. You're like, I'm going to go get that later. Then what happens?
All right. So as a kid, we would just go and take paint from like the local 99-cent store that was owned by a Korean lady. We would just go take the crayons. I remember they used to have smaller crayons. It was in the full one. It's like a smaller, skinnier one.
Okay.
We just get the paint, walk around, go to the LA riverbed, do our thing.
Wow. Right.
I grew up painting a yard called Dominguez Train Tracks.
Okay.
So we would go to Dominguez Train Tracks and piece back there and meet other riders. And we would go to Compton. And it was just traveling, right? And then like I had my friends growing up were punk rockers.
Okay.
They were into punk rock. So they would go get these leather jackets that they would draw on and put like
patches and stuff like
and
that?
spikes on them.
Oh, wow.
But the blank jacket itself was on Melrose. So going with them to get these jackets, I'm not a punk rocker, bro, so I'm going to go walk around. I'll come catch you guys back in a bit.
Right.
And then there was this ginormous graffiti store right there. I think it was called Worksman.
Okay.
And that's the first time I ever walked into the full legit graffiti shop. So I walk in there, they have Beltons and like the OTR markers and caps. And this must have been like in 2007, 2006.
Okay.
And I'm just like, damn, there's a store for this.
Right.
So then I made it a thing to like go back home and hustle a couple dollars.
Yeah.
And go back over there and gave me like a marker and gave me like a can, right?
Yeah.
Because it was
higher
like,
quality tools, better tool, basically, is what that was?
Yeah, because it was like now there's actual tools made for this.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like Belton, in my opinion, was the first graffiti made can to enter the United States. Then it was Montana.
Okay.
And then Montana dominated, obviously.
Specifically for the art form.
Yeah, specifically for writers.
What makes it better?
The pressure, the color palette. That has so many colors, right?
Right.
Because Cronin was very minimal on the colors, and so was Rust-Oleum.
Right.
But here comes Belton and Montana, and they have hundreds of colors to pick from. So instead of getting 3 greens, now you got like 15, 20 greens, and you're like, whoa.
Right.
So now you could just start picking and matching. But, obviously you get in trouble too. Like
that's where it kind of comes from, because not something that you can, even when people are doing legal, like commissioned murals, people got a problem with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've seen them working on real, like commissioned artwork, and the neighborhood will complain and blah, blah, blah about a certain wall getting touched up. So you got to watch your back. You got to be fast. You got to be efficient. You got to be exact. You got to have a plan going in, right? And you have somebody like watching your back. How does that work?
I mean, to be honest, bro, for me as a child, it was just me and my best friends.
There you go. Okay.
Me and my best friends that I trusted with my life at the moment.
Yeah.
We will all go together and have each other's back. Have a good time, paint, drink a 40, smoke a cigarette. But there was times where I got caught. Like the last time that I got caught, I was painting in Wilmington, right there off the 110 on Sepulveda, the exit right there. And the cops got us, man. And then I went to juvenile hall and I did 6 months.
Really?
For graffiti. And it's like just being in there, it's kind of like I'm in here for graffiti and everybody's like a hardcore gang member. And I'm just here like, hey, bro, I just got caught, painting, you know what I mean? So that was definitely an experience to digest, like losing your freedom for something that you thought was just like not that serious.
Yeah.
Right? Like you think like, hey, these walls are already destroyed. What is it if I come and put something on it?
Right.
But yeah, I don't think we've ever, obviously we took care of each other, right? Like we had each other's back. We would go and paint. I mean, we would do like the rollers and stuff like that. But it was never like we had a specific person like, hey, just stand there and keep lookout.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay. You're all working.
But like I say, everybody's different. Some guys like to go alone. Some guys will just go alone and do their thing by themselves. Other guys like to have a big squad with them. Everyone's different.
Yeah.
But for us, it was just our best friends all as one together, moving as a unit.
Okay, tell me about these difficult to reach spots though. Like logistically, how do you put it up there? It's almost like Michelangelo on the Sistine Chapel, like had to have that contraption where he's like laying on his back. I mean, like, how do you do it?
Man, there's just so many ways to go about it. Like when you think about a billboard, you got to get creative to get up there.
Big time, exactly.
Physically too, because like someone like me right now, like, can I get up to that quick? I doubt it. I doubt it.
Dude, or something like me is afraid of, I mean, not afraid of heights, but I'm not exactly like comfortable up
Yeah.
there, even just billboard height, bro. Yeah.
And being up there, it's just like a whole different environment, bro. Like you're up there, you gotta be cautious, you gotta be paying attention to your surroundings.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the cops you gotta worry about. It's the locals that could come out and be like, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah. Good
Or
point,
even
good point.
the gang members that catch you up there and they're just like, oh hell no, we're gonna wait for this guy to come down. So there's so many things involved while you're up there. So it's like I give nothing but mad respect and props to the guys out there devoting themselves to doing this and keeping the culture alive. Now we got guys that are hanging from the buildings like ninjas.
Yeah, so that's what I was kind of getting at.
So and some of these guys didn't even go to school for it. They're just figuring out how to get some equipment, hop on the building, come down, do your thing, and then get back up and let's go.
Okay, now ultimately, would you say it's about respect, legacy, internal fulfillment? What is the motivation, you think?
I think KRS One said it the best. I'm out for fame. What his song Out for Fame. I think he said it the best. That's really what it's about, to get noticed,
Yeah.
get your name out there. But also, it could be something that's deeper than that. You know what I mean? Like some people are trying to just get away from life and be this person for the amount of time that's possible.
Right.
And just imagine people started recognizing you like, hey, you're that guy Water.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're like, oh, damn, people are paying attention, right?
Yeah.
Hey, can you hit my book here or can you do this? And then you start meeting people. And hey, I got this over here. Come hang out with us. And then you build a friend there. Someone could hit you up from a different state. Hey, Water, I seen you, man. You got to come out here. Then you go over and you connect with them. And it's just like a whole family worldwide of guys that just have nothing but love for each other for what they do.
And that's the culture right there. When you get to that point, right? Let's say an artist gets to that point. Is it mostly because of their prolific nature? Like they're just everywhere. Like, like Hope. I always see everywhere. What are some of the names? There's a feed I follow, Los Angeles Lurking, that's like starting to shine. And I'm sure there's a lot of them, but like for me, that shines a light on a lot of these guys and stuff like that. Is it they just hit more spots? Their art is super dope. They invented a unique style. Like what is it that elevates people within the culture and gets them the notoriety?
I think what elevates them, bro, is just loving it, the passion for it. It's like if you're an MC, right?
Yeah.
You're going to hear beats nonstop.
Goddamn
and you're going to keep recording, dropping.
Right.
And then you get that one song that's like, boom, you got a hit.
Dude.
Same thing with a writer. He's putting in work. And then boom, he gets that one spot that's kind of like, whoa.
Yeah.
Check out this guy Water. And everybody starts talking about it.
Breakthrough right there.
But this culture has no rules.
Yeah.
But there is kind of like some inner rules, kind of like you don't want to go somewhere and go over a piece of some guy that passed away that's been rocking for like 10 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not going to go to a full color burner and just scribble little letters in there.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Mad disrespect, bro.
So there is no rules, but there is kind of like some knowledge of like, hey, you don't do
the
that.
unwritten rules.
Yeah.
The unwritten rules. That's how it is. I mean, even in baseball, like everything got the unwritten rules, man. Let's talk about graffiti as a form of social commentary or activism. What do you want to speak on that?
There's so much we could say.
Right.
But, graffiti, it's been a positive outlet, right?
Yeah.
It's been a positive outlet where, many people have been able to travel the world, do panel discussions, conversate with a lot of other people. And I think now it's being more accepted. A lot of more companies are using the culture.
Yeah, oh, God, dude, and commercials and all that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But my mission has always been like, when I started what I started doing, it was kind of like, I felt like it was voiceless. Because obviously you got the established writers and nothing but love to them, right?
Yeah.
But the inner culture, it felt like if you want to know or hear something, like, how are we going about that? You know what I mean? Obviously, they do have like interviews that have been done, like written interviews, where you could actually go and dive into meeting someone. But it's nothing like seeing the person talk. It's kind of like you start learning.
So that's what Got No Control is about. So this is the podcast. Tell me what planted the seeds. How did that start?
During COVID, obviously the world shut down.
Yeah.
And podcasts just started booming. And I'm just sitting there like,
right.
I'm just sitting there like, man, I want to see a graffiti podcast. I just want to hear a guy talk about graffiti.
Yeah.
And I reached out to all kinds of platformers, and people were trying to charge me or shut me down, or they wouldn't reply to me. So I was like, whatever, I'll do it by myself.
Yeah.
I got my little Android phone with a cracked screen and my big old work truck. I have a flatbed at the time. And I just started sitting in my truck and going live and doing interviews. And my very first interview, shout out to Risk, WCA. He was the very first person I interviewed.
Yeah.
And then from there, I never stopped. And then it just started becoming bigger than me. You know, it started becoming a platform where people were enjoying the message. People were looking forward to the episodes. So I just started diving into it.
Yeah.
I started diving into it. I stayed consistent. I'm a one-man team. Like I don't have like a bunch of people behind me.
Yeah.
And I went from that to like, boom. Now I need to get into a studio to do this for real.
Right. Right.
And I want to give a shout out to Solomon over at Podcast Place, because he did a lot for me. He really did a lot for me. He
Solomon, shout out.
And in the beginnings, he gave me free episodes and told me, you got something special. Keep going. Don't give up.
Yeah.
I believe in you. And I'm always going to have love for him. So shout out to him. He put me in position to where I got into the studio. I started doing episodes, and it just kept growing, man. It kept growing and growing. And I just let it grow. It's like a baby. Yeah. It was just growing. And it didn't hit me till I went to my first event and people recognized me.
That's dope.
And I was like, feeling. And it was a good feeling, but I don't take it for granted, right? I don't care who it is. You can hate me or love me. I'll make the time to look you in the eye and shake your hand.
Right. It's important. That connection.
Like I don't care if I have a line of 100 people. I'm gonna make sure every single 100 person sees me and gets a handshake.
Man, that's the right approach. That's the right approach. If somebody wants to reach out personally and touch you personally, I don't mean physically touch you, but you know what I mean? Like have that moment, have that connection, then as a public figure, as somebody who's doing a service for the community, for the culture, like you, I don't want to say owe them, but it's rewarding to have that kind of interaction, because they're like, all right, this is a real dude. And like, I'm glad I got to shake his hand or have a couple moments like that. So I think that's important. I
had a kid one time that came up to me with his dad, and he was like, hey, Ronek, I can't believe it's you. And I'm like, bro, I'm human just like you, man. I'm nobody special. I hugged him. I'm like, I love you, man. Signed some stickers from him, gave it to him. I'm like, bro, it's all love here, man. I don't think I'm bigger than nobody. I'm not here seeking fame.
Yeah.
I'm just here pushing the message.
Right.
Which is graffiti and the culture itself, and a very family orientated vibe, right? I'm not into like causing drama. That's not my message. My message is not to be like, well, this guy said screw that guy, and what do you guys think?
With the beefs, the drama, right?
I just try to share a positive message, and you can't always make everybody happy, and I'm sure you know this.
Goddamn right.
People are always
the truth of life, man.
People are always gonna talk crap. F that dude. What does he know about LA?
Yeah.
Or what does he know about graffiti?
Absolutely. Are you even from? Sometimes I get, are you even from LA? I'm like, wow, bro. Like, all right. I mean, okay. You got check the bona fides.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, you're always gonna have those people, right? And some of the greatest out there say they're not hating on you, then you're not doing nothing good.
Shoot. That's right. That's right. You're not making an impact. How do you get guests? How do you get people? How do you get artists on the show? Yeah.
At first, I was doing
the evolution. Yeah.
At first, I was doing the groundwork. I would have to reach out to them. Yeah. Most of them wanted to meet me first.
Through Insta or like through what? How did you reach out?
It was both. It was through email, Instagram, Facebook, word of mouth. Like, hey, this guy, I know this guy, whatever. Doing the groundwork. And going, and some of these guys wanted to meet me first. So like, hey, you got to come to Boyle Heights. Or, hey, you got to come over here. And I was putting in the work.
Yeah.
I was driving to these guys with all my gear on me. Driving to them, meeting them, shaking their hands. And at first, that's how it was. Now it's just like, now it's just, hey, can I be on? Yeah, absolutely. And then we just set it up. So now it's kind of like, now they come to me type thing, which I'm extremely grateful for. But yeah, man, the beginning was a lot of groundwork. I'm 4 years into this.
Right.
It took about 2 to 3 years of groundwork,
of hard work, of legwork, knocking on every door. Absolutely.
And I tell a lot of people, bro, like there was times that I had to devote my time to this, and that kept away from my family.
Yeah.
And I take my family extremely seriously. So for someone to tell me something negative is like, you don't know what I've been through, bro.
Correct.
There's been times where I don't have money for gas, but I have to go swipe the credit card to get to that writer so I could get that interview to get the platform to keep growing.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've took a lot of risk, man. I took a lot of risk to get to where I'm at. You know what I mean?
You have to. Man.
And
that's the name of the game. Fearless.
And then look where it put me at. Now I'm here sitting with you. This is an amazing platform. It's an amazing conversation. It's amazing to be here. You know what I mean? And it's off of just all that groundwork.
Dude. Okay. So, well, thank you for saying that too. But what are some of the biggest names that you've been, I don't even want to use the word starstruck, but you know, where you're like, oh man, like I'm really making an impact if I've had so-and-so on the show.
One person that I think that I got on the show that nobody has, there's been a lot of them.
Yeah.
But I want to say the very first one that I got into the podcast that people are like, damn, what happened to this guy? You got him back, was Rick, founder of K2S Crew.
Okay.
Him. He's back in the early stages of graffiti. He was like the guy.
Okay.
You know, he was like out there. And
what year are we talking about, you know?
We're talking like early 80s.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Early
so
80s.
OG. Okay.
And he's a good brother, nothing but respect to him. You know, he was one of the very first guys at Belmontano. For those who don't know what Belmontano is, it was kind of like the best way I could say it is like, for people to understand, like a club. Everybody in Los Angeles will meet there at Belmontano.
Okay.
And everybody will paint. Iconic battles happen there. So much stuff happened there, and it was a phenomenal space where everybody could just come and paint. He was like one of the very first guys there.
Right.
He started K2S Crew. You know, he's had a big impact on a lot of people early on. I'm sure the new generation might not know much about him.
Yeah.
But the guys that were there know about him.
That's even more important. Like, and you know what I do. Like the foundation, the history is what makes it. Because without that, you don't have the current. You don't have the guys now. But go on.
Then I've also had like Hex from the hip hop shop.
Okay. Yeah.
Amazing brother. Shout out to Hex, man. I love that dude. He's collaborated with me in a lot of things, which did a massive event in San Diego. We had over like 400 or 500 people there. It was amazing. It was fun. Very orientated. All San Diego was out.
Yeah.
So him was another amazing one. Man, I just had so many guys. Who else have I had on the pod? Let me see.
Any big guys you're trying to get that you're working on or anything?
Mr. Cartoon is from the Harbor area.
Okay.
He's from San Pedro.
Okay.
So he's from my side of town. And we did a live on Instagram.
Yeah.
But I've never had the opportunity to get him in studio and sit down with him. I think that would be something meaningful to me because everybody back home knows of him.
Yeah.
And we would like some of his artwork back home. You know, like a mural back there.
That's dope.
I'm sure he has one.
Yeah.
But as of right now, to my knowledge,
right,
I haven't seen one. So it would be amazing to bring him to the Harbor area and put a nice murals like the ones he does in LA back home.
Let me segue a little bit. You mentioned the Harbor area. Very underappreciated, almost unknown area throughout LA, unless you're from there, right? Like,
yeah.
There's the communities, the Harbor Gateways, Twin Cities, all that kind of stuff. Talk to me about that area and what that meant to you growing up and what your thoughts are on that area.
Shout out to the whole Harbor area. I love every single one of you guys, even if you guys hate me or not. From San Pedro, to my knowledge, all the way to Gardena.
Okay.
We got San Pedro, Wilmington, also known as Wilmas. We got Carson. And then you have inner cities in Carson that are kind of like, don't call us Carson type thing.
Okay.
So you have like Keystone. You have the guys over there. What is it? The Casco area. You got Scottsdale, Victoria Park.
Wow.
There's so much in Carson, right?
Right.
And then from Carson, you got Torrance. You got Harbor City. Redondo Beach.
Yeah.
Man, my neighborhood, Dominguez. Long Beach, East Side, West Side, and North Side.
Right.
And then you got another area right there that's like the Barrio Pobre area. That's a whole different area there. Then you got Signal Hill, Bixby Knolls.
Yeah.
So we're definitely, in Gardena. And
Ardo Brick.
Yeah, and like we're definitely slept on. Like I seen like your interview you did with Ben Baller.
Yeah.
Where he's like, well, if you're from Long Beach, you're not really from LA. But you can't sleep on what we bring to the table, bro.
You know, I say this with Long Beach, is Long Beach has a certain amount of, like a significant amount of pride in Long Beach. And yes, separate city, part of LA County, obviously, but Long Beach has a very strong sense of pride in Long Beach. You know what I mean? Where I think even early when I was doing LA in a minute, when I would include Long Beach and LA, and I always get comments or even DMs and people like, we're not LA, we're Long Beach. So I think that has something to do with it, even though like under the LA umbrella, of course, we're proud of Long Beach, and I would love to include Long Beach. In fact, I always say I could live in Long Beach. I think it's a dope area.
You think about it even deeper than that. Look at Juan Manuel Dominguez, right? Look at what he did for Los Angeles.
Right.
The part that he took into building what Los Angeles is today. Does that get unnoticed? Does that go unnoticed?
That's why I'm going down to the Dominguez and Adobe, bro. I got to tell that story. Like, for real. No, it doesn't. LA doesn't celebrate that history, unfortunately.
Juan Manuel Dominguez was iconic to constructing Los Angeles.
Absolutely.
And my neighborhood, we had the Mexican-American War, which American soldiers marched from San Pedro to my neighborhood, which is Dominguez.
Right.
Juan Manuel Dominguez and his people are right there like, you ain't getting by. They go to war, they beat them, they march back to San Pedro, take off home under Mexican law because it was Mexican territory.
Yeah, damn right.
Right? The very first ever aviation meeting happened in my neighborhood.
Right. Right.
One of the oldest elementary schools to be part of Los Angeles, which is Dominguez Elementary, that was there since 1909, is there.
Yeah.
We have
Which is forever ago.
we also have the museum of the iconic lion race strip that was in my neighborhood, Dominguez, which Long Beach tried to take credit for it, but it was never Long Beach.
And racing was a huge part of LA culture, all that stuff. I mean, 100%. And going back just real quick, you mentioned the Mexican-American War, which is something that always fascinates me. And I'm glad you're the first person that's ever brought that up proactively to me, which I always find fascinating because I'm from the Valley, right? I always talk about it. Shout out 818.
Shout out to 818.
But it makes me laugh every time, kind of cry a little bit too, but laugh mostly. That Campo de Cahuenga, right?
Yeah.
It's where they signed the Treaty of Cahuenga, which was to put down the arms, and it led to the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo.
Yeah.
But the LA Times called it the most important event in the history of California, right there in Universal City, across the street from what's now Universal Studios, right?
Yeah.
And Universal Studios has 3 million visitors every year.
Definitely.
And Campo de Cahuenga, I go over there probably like every quarter because I love reporting on it and telling the story that the Mexican-American War was fought right here in Los Angeles. There are battlefields in Montebello, down by you, out here in the Valley. And people don't realize that, like, again, I think like what the Alamo maybe is like Mexican-American War, you know what I mean? But like, no, that was such an important part of LA history. And like you said, between the Californios, the Mexicans, the Americans, these are all different, the indigenous people, like all these different groups that made up the foundation of what LA became, but the details of how we got here are lost, except for people like you acknowledging that and like saying like, no, this is how it went down, this is where it went down, and why these areas are so important. Man,
when you go to the Rancho Dominguez Adobe, bro, you could just feel it, bro. Like you go in there, you see everything, you hear the stories.
Yeah.
They do the reenactment, they bring the horses and the guns.
Yeah.
And you just sit there like soaking it, like to come from a place that something like that happened, it's just like, it gets you thinking like, damn, where I call home, this happened before.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And like, to think like, imagine them, when they came, they were under Spaniard law. Then Mexico wins the war.
Yeah.
Now there's Mexico. So now he has to fight Mexico to tell them, hey, this is my land.
Right.
We used to be Spain, now we're Mexico.
Right.
Okay, you got to go through all this. Here's your paperwork. Boom. Now it's yours under Mexican law.
Wow. Yeah.
Now Americans win the war. Now he has to go to the Americans. Hey,
oh man,
this belonged to me under Mexican law. So he had to go through all that. And it's just, to me, it's just interesting knowing all that stuff.
And that's no small. I think about that too a lot because that's no small task. So many people lost land, by the way, because they, quote, couldn't prove it.
Yeah.
And it's so funny to think about, dude, 1840s, 1850s, like
fighting over land.
But also like documents and records. Like, come on, bro. Like, that's such like a funny, like, I mean, not funny, but an element that you never really think about. But the point, like you said, where you're like, no, this is mine legally, and I'm willing to fight for it. And this is what happened here and how it's reflected like that. So.
Yeah, for me, I've always been that person. It's important for me to understand what I'm doing and where I come from, right? Yeah. And obviously for those people out there that are going to be like, yeah, but Mexicans and Spaniards and stuff like that. Yes, Mexicans were here first, right? Before the Spaniards conquered. But they conquered, and it's part of history. Whatever happened there, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
But it happened.
And you have to tell the whole story. That's the thing at the end of the day. All right, so let's get back to your story. So Graffiti, art, culture, where does it stand right now? And what role do you feel that you and Got No Control play in the culture right now?
I feel like right now there's like a barrier between people understanding what a street artist is and a graffiti writer is.
Okay.
Right? A graffiti writer is someone that comes from anywhere of a subculture or sub-city that has devoted their time to develop letter structure. Because that's what graffiti is at the end of the day, letter structure.
Okay.
Making letters flow, hop, throw an arrow here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Color coordinating, make sure that the colors match, that it looks good, that it blends well. That's what a graffiti writer is. And a pure graffiti writer is out on the streets, you know, doing it illegally, risking their life, day after day, night after night, doing what they got to do to put their, you know, mark out there.
Yeah.
A street artist could just be a guy that, you know, just loves to paint.
Right.
Just loves to paint, grew up among painters, mom and dad maybe, but he chose aerosol can as his medium.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely great. It's fine. There's no problem with you wanting to be a street artist and using an aerosol can as your main medium.
Right.
That's fine.
Right.
But don't call yourself a graffiti writer just because you use a can, because that's where the conflict begins. And I feel like for a long time, that barrier has been there. And some may say, well, some graffiti writers became street artists, right? But it's not my job to dictate that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everybody's free to do whatever they want. I'm just sharing this from my perspective and from info that's been given to me through many other people.
Yeah.
Of the barrier that's been there, you know, because early on, being a graffiti writer wasn't really fun in the beginnings. You were looked down upon, so many problems.
Isn't that part of the hustle? Isn't that part of the game, though?
Nah, I wouldn't say it took a small like pinch. You know what I mean? Like, imagine being looked at like, oh, screw this guy. He uses canned spray paint to do his thing.
Right.
But now
we're just scorned.
But now 2025, you have artists using aerosol as their medium, and it's kind of like the guys over there for that are emotionally drained by the fact that they had to go through all this to be where they're at today. Yeah. And this guy just gets to come
resentment at that point, right?
And this guy just gets to come out like, hey, I went to art class, I went to school, and I'm here with my can.
So what's the direction of that art form then at this point?
Of graffiti culture itself?
Yeah.
I think it's alive. It's thriving. I think who knows what will be 100 years from today?
Right.
Maybe you have AI generated graffiti robots, or they have machines that are printing murals now.
That's not surprising, and still also.
But I would definitely want to see it alive and thriving. You know, people still taking their time to be as great as possible. You know, because you do have some guys that are like, I love graffiti, but I'm not into all that artistic stuff. I'm just a guy that likes to do what I do.
Right.
Which is fine, right? It's fine. But it's just understanding as a writer why you're doing it and what you want to do. That's the best way I could put it. For graffiti, I think it's going to keep to grow. I see more amazing things coming.
Yeah.
Got No Control is here, giving a voice, allowing artists to have a platform to speak on what they want to speak about.
Right.
I've been connecting with a lot of graffiti shops to bring awareness to their shops. So I show up and
it's funny. That's big business now, man. That's funny.
I do a lot of in-store reviews. Like, hey, I'm here today here with these guys, and this is what we're doing. This is what they got. Just bringing awareness to the shop. So if anybody out there that's local that didn't know about them, can now visit them and shop there rather than having to take this super far drive somewhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I do definitely wish for it to keep to grow. I want to see it evolve and be better than ever.
That's dope. Okay, two last main issues, and then we'll bring it out of here.
All right.
You're a younger cat. Do you remember Shaka, or you know the Reputation?
Yeah.
What's your so this was my probably first, because I was even young at the time, introduction. And again, LAPD villainized the hell out of it.
Yeah.
And this was this dude, a tagger. I knew him as a tagger, right? But he hit all kinds of spots. He became so notorious that it was like the search was on. It almost felt like he was a big fugitive of the law for tagging everywhere. And I always remember they caught him and he had some trial or whatever at Van Nuys Courthouse. And the big thing was he tagged up the elevator like on the way out and like inside the courthouse. And he was like sort of celebrated like as a hero in the culture like that. Where does somebody like that just fit in historically in the culture? Or does he? Because it's different.
he definitely will go down in history, graffiti history.
Chaka, by the way, Chak.
Chaka, because he made a statement like, "Hey, I'm here.
Yeah,
this is what I stand for, and you're not gonna stop me." And he's still doing phenomenal things. Shout out to Chaka, by the way. He's still out there doing his thing, being him. But with that specific situation is like he devoted his time and safety to becoming who he is.
Yeah.
Hitting the elevator was just a message like, you can't stop who I am. I'm going to be me, and I'm willing to take the consequences. And that brings value for the next generation to see like, hey, you could really be devoted to something. Yeah, it might bring some negativity.
Yeah.
But it's manageable, right? It's manageable to where like understanding like, hey, there's consequences to this, but this is who you could be. And that's the message that I feel that he sends out through that specific situation.
It's almost like a Tiburcio Vasquez kind of like, the it's a criminal, but is it wrong? Because there's that heart and that passion and what that's kind of conveying. Okay. Hit me with the oceanwide, I call it the graffiti monument, the towers, all right? Listen, that captivated LA for a while. And now I'm hearing it described as an eyesore. When are they going to fix it? Tell me the saga from your perspective, when it was going up, when they were bombing it, and then now as it stands.
Initially when there was a writer that I think started it, right? And he went up there and did his thing, and that's what kind of got everybody open to the fact that like, oh, I want to get up there, right?
Yeah.
So then everybody left their mark behind. I mean, if you see that tower, it's not something easy to do.
No, hell no. Look, it's an awesome accomplishment of that art form. Even again, from an outside, where you're like, they really did a thorough job, a good job. A lot of them are like really genuine artistic pieces. And I'll be honest, when I first saw it, I go back and watch the video, I was celebrating it, right? Like I was like, this is very LA. I kind of call like the 6th Street Viaduct. Remember when the bridge opened and people were doing the wheelies and quinceañeras, haircuts, skateboarding up on the arches and all that kind of stuff. And people are like, oh, LA, like so disrespectful and all this. I was like, I don't know. There's something very LA about doing that where like, that's our way of almost showing appreciation and like this is ours, and that's, I guess, like, again, from outside the culture, I was proud for a minute where I was like, dude, because these were like towers that weren't going to be finished. They were just going to be abandoned eyesores anyway. You're like, dude, at least it's like an art form and a huge canvas that's like, this culture is here and it's proud and it's representing hard.
Initially, to my understanding from other resources, it happened in Miami first.
Right.
It happened in Miami first before it happened in LA. But you got to think about it. Los Angeles graffiti culture has been slept on by the general population forever.
Right.
It's only, in my personal opinion, it's only been taken advantage of. Like, oh, I want to take a picture here. I want to show a commercial here. Or, hey, I want to do this. Or I want to do that. Especially in downtown. But never give recognition to the person behind the message, right? To have the opportunity to tell the whole Los Angeles, hey, I'm part of this. I'm out here. And I'm not going nowhere. It's a strong and a bold statement. You know what I mean?
Right.
A lot of people were up there risking their lives, wins and all this extra stuff, getting up there, leaving their name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
I saw some of those videos, the first-hand videos, bro. Again, as a guy who doesn't love being on the side of buildings that are too high up, like I was like, damn, even just like I said, accomplishment, bro. Like painting it on a wall with your feet on the ground is dope art form. But doing it up there, like you the wind, that was the one that kind of clicked because I saw some video. I'm like, that shit is dangerous, bro. Like, go,
It just shows you the passion, the love, the dedication, the consistency of somebody dedicating themselves to this culture. To see someone up 20 stories up, painting their name, and you're just like thinking to yourself, like, why, how, when? But that person knowing like I'm accomplished because I did what I stand for, right? This is who I am. This is what I represent. Los Angeles, I'm here.
Yeah.
And the media, I think could have maybe been a little more lenient than blowing it out of proportion as far as like, hey, this is an eyesore. Why are they doing this?
That's what the media
I can't go to work without thinking that my car might get spray painted or something. You know what I mean? Okay. It's nothing like that. It's nothing like that. It's just taking the opportunity and the shine light to let all Los Angeles know that graffiti culture is here. And it's thriving, it's alive. People have been doing it forever, and they're going to keep doing it.
Dude, well, that's the message with Ronek. That's Got No Control. We're wrapping up. Anything else we didn't cover? Where do we find you? What's the best way to follow you? Give us all that stuff, man.
You could check me out on my personal Instagram at I am Ronek, IAMRONEK. Got No Control, which is at GOT.NO.CONTROL. YouTube everywhere, Got No Control. I just want to say that my message has always been to just spread nothing but positivity in the culture. I've always wanted people to understand that this is alive. It's just not in LA, it's worldwide.
Yeah.
I'm now starting to travel state to state and, bringing more awareness to it. So we're definitely going to be doing that. I just started my own festival, I could say. It's a paint jam, a live paint jam called My Style. I launched it in San Diego.
Okay.
So we're going to be bringing it to different states where, there's going to be live painting vendors and stuff like that to people to enjoy the culture and be able to witness.
It's coming to Bakersfield, right? Is that what you're doing in Bakersfield?
Bakersfield, I'm just collaborating, bringing an event called Hello, My Name Is.
Okay.
But My Style Paint Jam, it's something that I'm going to be bringing state to state just so people could, see and meet and collaborate and just have love for it, right? We launched it in San Diego and it was an amazing vibe, nothing but love and respect. Everybody had a great time. So we're going to be definitely bringing that to different states and got to keep working. And my one thing that I want to do, two things that I'm doing.
Yeah.
One, Got No Control music is coming.
Ooh.
So we already have tracks done.
Okay.
So
you're doing production or what do you do? What are you doing?
I'm doing the vocals.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the first track.
Okay.
Looking to collaborate with people in the future, but Got No Control music is here. It's coming. And down the road, one of my biggest goals is to do a film.
Really?
I seen what Mr. Cartoon and Esteban Real did on Netflix.
Yeah, hell yeah. Beautiful. Shout out to both.
My goal is something like that, but for the culture.
That's awesome, man.
It's strictly graffiti related.
Dude, keep the passion, keep the hustle, the hard work, the positivity, man, and shining that positive light. You'll get it done. Ronek, I appreciate you. Straight out of Dominguez, man. Represent. I'll be down at Dominguez Adobe.
And I just want to, sorry to cut you off. I just want to give out some shout outs if I can.
Oh, please. Yes.
I want to give a shout out to the whole graffiti culture worldwide. I love every single one of you guys. If you guys ever see me, it's nothing but love. I always got stickers for you guys. I want to give a shout out to the whole Dominguez, my whole Dominguez family. Dead Presidents. It's called Dead Presidents because every city is named after a dead president. I mean, not every city, every street is named after a dead president.
Wow. Okay.
So shout out to my whole Dead President family. I love you guys, every single one of you guys. I'm out here representing. And I also want to give a special shout out to a special someone out there working hard in Torrance. She knows who she is. Keep working. And all the Got No Control family, I love you guys. And stay on the lookout. We're coming.
Dude, there it is. Ronek, Got No Control. Make sure you follow him. And thanks for enlightening me, man. I really appreciate that, dude. I know how important this culture is to this community and beyond. And I'm always just curious from the outside. You answer my questions, and I appreciate that, man. Thank you for being here. Thanks for supporting the show. And, dude, support my man, Ronek, Got No Control. All right, y'all. It's been a minute.
Peace.